duper excited because we get to take another virtual field trip, but we have a new theme for Camp Holiday in a Box this week. We are going to take a virtual field trip around the world. How exciting is that? And today we are taking our virtual field trip to the United Kingdom. Are you excited? I am. And on this trip, we will be going to the United Kingdom and we will visit the Lonely Safari. So on this safari trip, here's a few things that we need to take with us. So I need for you to make sure you have maybe a hat, a visor. I made my own visor with flowers because I like flowers. I love flowers actually. So you can make a visor or a hat with whatever you like, and also, or you can use a scarf or something really cool to put on your head because we have to do on our trip, on all of our trips. We have to do. So you can use a hat, a visor, or just a scarf, or one of your favorite whatever that you want to put on your head. And then we also need a notebook as our passport. So on this notebook or in this notebook, we can write down the places that we visit this week. We can draw a picture of the places that we visit this week. Or if you have a stamp or just want to color to represent the places that we visit. So the most important thing that we need to know on this field trip is that we must be ready and excited to explore. So are you guys ready? I'm ready. Okay, so let's start our adventure. So to talk about the Lonely Safari a little bit, it is the world famous drive-through safari park outside of Africa. It's actually located in England. And animals from all over the world are there. Even an animal from the circus will be there. That should be cool. And so our tour guide for this week is Miss Kate, or for today during this trip. Okay? So you guys put your listening ears on and be ready to listen and learn from Miss Kate. So let's talk about the first two animals that we will visit on this trip, which is the giraffe and zebras. And there we have to learn some interesting, cool facts about each one of these animals before we get to visit them. I always like this part. So our interesting facts about a giraffe is that a giraffe's neck is too short to touch the ground. I don't know if you notice, whenever you see one, they're always eating leaves and plants that are tall and up high in trees rather than on the ground because their necks are too short. That's kind of sad. And then giraffes only need to drink once every few days. That must be very difficult for people like us. But it's cool that giraffes can last that long without drinking. I always have to keep my water nearby. I hope you have water nearby too, just in case you're thirsty. And then giraffes, within an hour of being born, most giraffes can stand and even take their first steps. That's super duper cool. Can you imagine a little baby taking his first steps as soon as he or she is born? Wow, that would be amazing. And now let's talk a little bit about the zebras. A group of zebras are actually called a dazzle. That sounds fancy. And zebras use their ears to show their moods. That's one of the ways that they communicate what type of mood that they're in. I don't know, like my ear on this side can say, I'm sad. And this one can say, I'm happy. That would be silly for me to do that, right? But it's cool that zebras can. Zebras are actually black with white stripes. A lot of people ask that question. And I learned today that they're actually black with white stripes. So that's pretty cool. Are you ready to go visit the giraffes and zebras? Okay, let's go on our adventure.
Hello, it's Kate here. It's my privilege to be your guide for the adventure that lies ahead of you. There's so much to see, so keep your eyes open and your ears alert. Are you ready? Let's get going. Welcome to Longleat's African Reserve, our very own savannah in the heart of Wiltshire. By now you'll have no doubt spotted our beautiful Rothschild giraffes, so named by Lord Walter Rothschild, a passionate zoologist in the early 1900s. So what can I tell you about them? Well, if you look closely at their wonderful markings, you'll notice that it stops at their knees, giving us the impression that they're sporting rather lovely cream stockings.
That's funny.
Can you spot their incredibly long tongues? It can be hard not to. Measuring in at about 50 centimetres, our giraffes use their tongues to wrap around leaves and draw them into their mouths, in the same way we might use our fingers to reach a tasty snack. Just look at the unique way in which they stroll. Swaying from side to side, giraffes move both right legs at the same time and then their left legs. This gives them a longer stride. If they're in a hurry, however, they'll adopt a similar style to most mammals and swing their rear legs and front legs in unison. Now, as I'm sure you can imagine, animals of this size require a considerable amount of filling up. In fact, giraffes can spend an incredible 16 to 20 hours a day munching through twigs and foliage. You might think this continual effort to graze would tire them out, but surprisingly, giraffes can get by on very little sleep. Giraffes in the wild must always be on their guard in case of any predator attack. So they choose to nap for only minutes at a time, often while standing up. They've learned to get by on as little as 30 minutes sleep per day. Luckily for our giraffes here at Longleat, they can enjoy longer and more relaxing snoozes. That sound coming through your speakers is the unmistakable call of the next animal I want you to spot on your safari, the zebra. Have you seen them yet? The first thing that you'll notice about our herd of Grant zebras are their dazzling black and white stripes. If you look very closely, you will see that each zebra has its own and unique stripe pattern, in the same way that we have our very own individual fingerprints. So can any of you answer the age-old question about a zebra? Is a zebra black with white stripes or white with black stripes? Well, let me help you out. Zebras are actually black with white stripes. Under all that hair, their skin colour is black. Full marks to all of you who got that right. Zebras are very fast runners and can get up to speeds of 40 miles an hour, just fast enough to outpace a hungry lion. They chomp on grasses, shrubs, leaves and twigs and spend so much time chewing that their teeth continue to grow throughout their lives. This counteracts the continual wearing down. Now, if you listen carefully, you might just hear the zebras making some unusual noises. Zebras are actually great communicators and use barking, braying, snorting and huffing sounds to get their points across.
That's pretty cool. I find myself often making sounds too to get my point across. Sometimes when I'm tired, I go, ah, and then when I'm upset or frustrated, I might go, it's similar to zebras. So do you make sounds like that to get your point across? I think so. We all do. So that's interesting that we're sort of alike with zebras, similar to zebras, by making sounds to communicate our moods. Okay, so let's see, what animal are we going to visit next?
Hello.
The next animals that we will visit is the monkey and the elephant. And here are some interesting facts about each of those animals. Monkeys can be divided into two different groups: the old world monkeys that live in Africa and Asia, and the new world monkeys that live in South America. Different monkey species eat a variety of foods, such as fruits, insects, growth, flowers, leaves, and even reptiles. Wow. Some monkeys live on the ground, while others live in the trees. So that's pretty interesting. And then elephants have many ways to communicate. They even communicate through the vibrations on the ground, which they can detect the meaning of the vibrations through their bones. That's really, really cool. Elephants never forget because the area in their brain associated with memory is larger and denser than ours. So they don't forget things. I wish I could not forget things. And elephants can consume up to 300 pounds of food. Wow, that is a lot. Can you imagine how many peanut butter and jelly sandwiches we may have to eat to equal up to 300 pounds? Whoa, I don't think I can do that much. All righty, so let's visit the monkey and elephant and go on our next adventure.
Right, the next enclosure is a very exciting one, and it's lots of people's favourite when they come here to Longleat. You've just entered our monkey drive-through, home to our inquisitive rhesus macaques. These really are delightful-looking animals. Have a look at that adorable pink face. Remind you of anyone? Well, there is something vaguely human about their looks, and that's because, like us, these are primates. They're some of the most common monkeys found throughout Asia, including India and high up in the Himalayas. There are several families living here, and at the head of each family is an old female. They keep control by using their status and experience to settle any disputes. It really is a quite well-ordered society, even if it may look a little chaotic. So we've now driven into the big game park, and there are some really impressive creatures around here. But it's a real mixed bag, and not all from one continent. First up, it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to the largest animal here at Longleat, our Asian elephant, Anne. This beautiful elephant arrived here in 2011, seeking sanctuary after spending almost 50 years performing in a circus. At Longleat, Anne receives the best possible medical care and attention, and I'm pleased to say her health has significantly improved since joining us. Elephants are supremely intelligent animals, and their surroundings are critical to their health and well-being. Anne shares her home with a group of goats who provide her with some company and interaction without posing any threat or conflict. Our dedicated keepers also work extremely hard to keep Anne entertained. So if she's out of sight right now, it's more than likely that she's chosen to be inside her house playing one of her behavioral enrichment games.
That is really cool. I love that we were able to meet Anne, the elephant, from a real life circus. How cool is that? I love elephants. I'm even wearing an elephant shirt today. I had so much fun visiting Anne and the other animals. So are you guys ready to go on our next adventure? Awesome. We are going to visit the camels, antelopes, and the rhinos. But first, let's review our 3 interesting facts about each of these animals. Camels actually have three sets of eyelids. Whoa, can you imagine having 3 eyelids and 2 rows of eyelashes? That must be heavy. That's a lot going on with your eyes. But guess what? They need the 3 sets of eyelids and the 2 rows of eyelashes to keep the sand out of their eyes. Wow, that makes a lot of sense. That's pretty cool that they're able to have that to help them cope with all the sand and keep it from out of their eyes. Next, we have the antelopes. Antelopes that live in herds have special glands that leave a scented record of their movement so that a lost antelope can find its way back by using the scent tracks to get back to where he or she belongs. And then the rhinos. The name rhinoceros means nose horn. and it's often shortened for rhino, which we use a lot. Okay, are you ready to go visit these 3 animals? And I think we may have a bonus animal in this trip. So let's get ready to go on our adventure.
Now for an animal that is super equipped to deal with life in the desert, our Bactrian camels. Check out those 2 large humps on their backs. This is certainly their most recognizable feature. They are in fact an invaluable store of fat that can be broken down and turned into water in times of drought. An ingenious design for a desert creature, don't you think? Bactrian camels are also well prepared for colder climates with their thick, shaggy coats and broad, flat feet, or as I like to call them, snowshoes. Best not to get too close though. Camels are notoriously grumpy, and a grumpy camel is likely to spit. Back to Africa and keep your eyes open for another really dramatic animal found here. The scimitar horned oryx. If you're not sure which ones they are, they're the ones sporting a striking pair of backwards curving horns, which can measure a whopping 1.5 meters long. Incredibly, their horns are longer than they are tall.
That's interesting.
Could these graceful and elegant antelope be behind the legend of the majestic unicorn, I wonder? Supremely adapted to life in the North African deserts, these animals can survive for months without water by getting all the moisture they need from the plants that they eat. And that light-coloured coat helps to reflect the sun's rays and stop them from overheating. Breeding these beautiful animals in captivity is essential, as sadly they have now become extinct in the wild. Right, there's just one more animal left to find, and hopefully we've made it easy for you, because you're on the lookout for one of the largest species of antelope, the roan antelope. Sporting a reddish-brown coat, you'll find the roans easy to spot with their distinctive black and white facial masks and their powerful ringed horns. Can you see them? These horns are put to good use when rival males battle to become leader of the herd. And in the wild, these almighty horns have even been known to overpower lions. So, did you manage to see all the animals? I think you'll agree they're a pretty impressive bunch.
Yes, they were.
A southern white rhino. These huge, heavily armoured beasts have stout bones to support their enormous bodies and can weigh as much as a car. Heavy they might be, but they can run much faster than us. However, they have very poor eyesight, and if they think something threatening is coming towards them, they could easily charge. Quite fittingly, a group of rhinos is known as a crash. But don't worry, our rhinos here at Longleat are more than used to the daily traffic and won't be crashing into your car. For a generally passive, rather sluggish animal, they're also one of the most exciting creatures you could ever encounter. And we're really fortunate to have them here at Longleat.
That was really cool. I found all of those animals very interesting. I thought my favorite was going to be the camels, but then learning that they spit, I don't think they're my favorites anymore. But I really like the rhinos. The rhinos are pretty cool too, and it's very interesting that rhinos are as heavy as a car. That's pretty big. So let's see what animals are next. We have the tigers and the lions. And let's review our 6 interesting facts before we go visit them at Longleat, okay? So the tiger is the largest wildcat in the world. Tigers' tails are 3 feet long, and the average tiger weighs 450 pounds, which is about the same as 8 10-year-old kids. That's a lot. Wow, I didn't realize tigers weigh that much. So if you're 10 years old, just picture 8 of you guys. That's how much a tiger will weigh. Just one tiger. That's impressive. Lions actually spend a lot of time napping. Males will sleep up to 20 hours per day. That's pretty much the entire day. And females will sleep up to 18 hours of the day. Lions are extremely fast runners. I think we all knew that lions were pretty fast, but I did not realize that lions can reach a speed of 50 miles per hour. That's as fast as a car can go. That's pretty fast. And the last thing that we will go over about lions before we get to visit them in Longleat is that the lions, you can actually hear the sound of a lion roaring from up to 5 miles away. That's pretty scary and impressive too. Okay, you ready? Are you guys ready to visit these awesome, yet a tiny bit scary animals? I am. So let's get ready to take this adventure.
We're now coming into the very large enclosure which houses our Siberian or Amur tigers. These are the largest subspecies of tiger. A fully grown male could be 4 or even 5 times my body weight. And with all that weight comes an immense amount of power and strength. These tigers are big, strong and powerful with really heavy bones, which means they can't engage in a very long drawn-out chase. Instead, what they do is creep up and get close to their chosen prey before they pounce. And when they do, they'll deliver such an enormous force, both through their bite and through those huge paws, that everything's going to be all over and done with very quickly. I really hope you can see them walking right now. There's something about the walk of a tiger that just says, I'm in charge. There is sheer elegance and majesty in every single stride. It's an animal that doesn't fear anything. There is almost nothing in the natural world that is quite as regal as the tiger. Regal, but deadly. Tigers are usually solitary animals. They live almost their entire lives on their own. Males and females will come together for a short time when they're breeding, and after the female has given birth to her cubs, she'll stay with them until they're able to take care of themselves. At Longleat, you have the chance to see a number of tigers living together, something that you would rarely see in the wild. We're now in Lion Country. This is where the Longleat story truly began, with the extraordinary vision of Henry Thynne, the 6th Marquess of Bath. As was common in the post-war era, stately homes began to open their doors to the public to help overcome the financial upkeep of such large estates. Longleat was the first to do this, but it wasn't until the Marquis met the enterprising Jimmy Chipperfield that the true potential of the estate was realised. Together, they hatched a plan that would see the release of 50 African lions into a large 100-acre reserve. Before they knew it, applications were granted, and in early February 1966, the first lion, a small cub aptly named Marquis, arrived at Longleat. Many more followed, including 7 from the company that made the Oscar-winning film Born Free. The rest, over 50 years later, is history.
More celebrity animals.
And I really hope you're getting to see the results of that eccentric but inspirational idea right now. So here, running free in this enclosure is a pretty substantial pride of lions. A pride is a word that you use to talk about a group of lions. And they are very unusual amongst the larger cats in that they do stick together in groups made up of both males and females. However, when it comes to hunting, it's the lionesses that do all the work. Recognise that, girls? When prey is spotted, the females change in an instant, from just lying around, probably in the shade, doing very little, to the second they think they've got an opportunity for a hunt. Everything about their body language completely changes. The body drops close down to the ground, the nose is held high, the ears are erect. You can see that all of their senses have suddenly become very highly tuned. And the second that one animal does that, all the other animals around pick up on those signals and they all go into hunt mode too. Like the tiger, the lion is a very bulky, heavy animal. They can't have chases that last for hundreds of meters. It needs to be over and done with fairly quickly. So they'll get themselves into the perfect position. You can see them communicating with each other purely through body language, not sound. And when they think the moment is right, one will pounce and they will all go together. There's a reason that they're known as the king of the beasts. When these animals are hunting together, they really do have no equal. Feeding time here at Longleat is equally enthralling. The keepers drive a tractor with a big cage behind it, dropping chunks of meat down a chute, and the lions chase after it, organising themselves in hunt mode very much as they would do in the wild. So we've talked about the impressive teamwork of the lionesses, but hopefully you're getting to see our magnificent males close up too. Instantly recognisable by that impressive mane. But what purpose does it serve, do you think? Well, on the face of it, it appears to be something of a disadvantage. For one, it could easily get in the way and become tangled when running through vegetation. And secondly, having one is a bit like us wearing a thick, fluffy scarf on a boiling hot day. So if it's that much of a hindrance, why do they have one? Well, the reason for it, really, is that it makes the male lion look bigger. It makes him appear to be more impressive and more imposing to other male lions. And those are important qualities to have when it comes to settling territorial disputes. Should things escalate, that mane also helps to protect them against bites from other male lions. And speaking of bites, the teeth of an African lion are phenomenal. You may get to see inside their mouths when they yawn. If you do, check out those canine teeth.
Wow.
Each one is as long as my thumb, and the leading edge of it is so sharp that if you were to rub your finger down it, then it would surely cut you. It's those the lionesses use to kill their prey. It is one fearsome tool. At the back of the jaw, they have cheek teeth, carnassials, which opt a pair of scissors, shearing and slicing meat into smaller, manageable chunks. They're also used to grind smaller bones too. Combine all that with a very coarse tongue, which is used to lap meat off the hide, and you soon realise this animal is not only built for the kill, but also for munching down just about everything other than the horns and the hooves of the animal it preys on.
Wow. That was really, really, really interesting to learn about the tigers and the lions. It seems like they're so similar, but they're really not. I did not realize that lions typically stick together. Well, I did realize that lions stick together, but I didn't realize tigers were so different, and they do not stick together. As soon as they're old enough to take care of themselves, they kind of hang out by themselves. So that's really cool to learn the difference between the two. Okay, so let's see what is next. Yay, we finally have some birds. So we will visit the ostrich and flamingos during this trip to Longleat. But let's review our 6 interesting facts about each of these animals. In some African countries, people race each other on the back of an ostrich. How cool is that? I think I would love to kind of ride an ostrich to race with someone else. Sounds like fun. The ostrich has the largest eye of any land animal. That way it allows them to be able to see their predators from a long distance, such as a lion. That's a pretty cool quality to have, being able to see your predators from a distance. And ostriches can go without drinking for several days, but love taking baths. I think that's one of my favorite things to do too, is to take a bath. So I have that in common with an ostrich. Next, we have the flamingos. Flamingos feed by stirring up mud with their feet. Can you imagine stirring up your food with your feet? Yeah, that sounds gross. Please don't do that. But that's the way flamingos feed. And they use their beaks, and the beaks are designed to strain the animals out of the mud. So they don't really eat all of the mud. They just pick up the mud with the animals, and then they use their beaks to strain the mud, the animals from the mud. So that's really cool. Flamingo chicks are born with gray and white feathers, and the feathers under their wings are black, and you can only see them when they are flying. So that's really cool. And we get to see a bonus bird, actually 2 bonus birds, I believe, during this trip. So are you ready to go on this adventure? Alrighty, let's go.
No trip to the savannah would be complete without our next animal. It's time for you to meet our ostriches. Can you see their huge brown eyes? Yes? Well, it may interest you to know that those eyes are in fact larger than their brains, ensuring they can spot any predators that might be approaching from a distance. Incredibly, these flightless giants have not 1, not 2, but 3 stomachs. And given that they don't have any teeth, they rely on swallowing pebbles to grind up the food they've eaten. Unsurprisingly, ostriches lay the largest eggs in the world, measuring in at about 15 centimeters in length and weighing the same as 24 chicken eggs. It won't take you very long to spot our next iconic animal. Resplendent in pink, say hello to our flock of Chilean flamingos. In the wild, those brilliantly coloured feathers come from eating algae and crustaceans, like shrimp, which contain pigments called carotenoids. Here, we feed them a specially formulated diet that contains everything they need to produce that perfect pink plumage. These birds often choose to spend most of their time on one leg, either resting, preening, even sleeping. Scientists have recently discovered that flamingos actually use less energy standing on one leg as opposed to 2. Fascinating. Also in this enclosure, you can see some white birds with dark heads and rumps, along with spectacular curved bills. These are sacred ibis, fabulous birds held in high esteem by the ancient Egyptians. Also, keep a lookout for our spoonbills. With a beak shaped like a spoon, it's easy to see how they got their well-suited name.
Wow, I love visiting the birds. I think my favorite bird would be the flamingos. They're so pretty. And I love the fact that flamingos use less energy standing on only one leg rather than 2. I don't know, maybe we should try it. Should we try standing on one leg and see if it's more energy? Okay, let's try it. I actually think it's more energy standing on one leg than it is for 2. So we probably need to use both of our legs to stand on rather than just one if we don't want to burn a lot of energy. Okay. Oh no, that was the end of our trip to the United Kingdom at the Lonely Safari. I hope you guys had fun today, all the way in the United Kingdom at the Lonely Safari. I had fun. This Camp Holiday in a Box week sounds like so much exciting experiences because we get to take trips around the world. So, like I said before, you have to make sure you have your notebook for your passport. And now I want you to use the time to either write the place that we visited today, draw a picture, you can color it, whatever you like, because we need to have record that we took a trip to the United Kingdom today. So make sure that you use this today and have it ready for the next time we take our virtual trip and the places, so that you can make sure you jot down the places that we visit. Okay. Thank you again for joining me. But before we go, we must do what we always do after every virtual trip. We have to have a dance party. So are you ready to boogie? Okay, let's boogie.
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. Woman, you're nice, sweet, fantastic. Big ship on the ocean, that's a big Titanic. Woman, you're nice, sweet, high energetic. Big ship on the ocean, that's a big Titanic. Move Woman, you're physically fit, physically fit, physically fit. Woman, you're nice, sweet, fantastic. Big ship on the ocean, that's a big Titanic. Woman, you're nice and sweet, high energetic. Big ship on the ocean, that's a big Titanic. Woman, you're nice, sweet, fantastic. Big ship on the ocean, that's a big Titanic. Come on, I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it.
Guys, that was a lot of fun. I hope you had fun too. And we did explore a lot today, and we learned a lot today. And I hope you have fun doing so. And I can't wait to our next virtual field trip. Can you guess where we're going? I don't know. You got to come back to see. So I look forward to seeing you then. Bye.